Generally, yes, in this town. And I actually did hear for the first time from a well-placed Republican that they really don't want to shut down.
Okay.
And they don't think there's going to be one. But I keep coming back again and again to a couple things. Number one, exactly what Murphy said, which is the environment is really, really nasty right now. Yeah. What was Chris really saying? Ignore the part about the president doesn't follow the law. That's just politics. What he's saying is, look, we passed a spending bill on a bipartisan basis. Because it takes 60 votes, and then you rescinded on partisan lines. So we agreed to spending together as two parties, and then you rescinded that spending on partisan lines without any Democrats. And that does sort of make a Democrat wonder, why would I ever vote for another spending bill again as long as this president is around?
Sure.
And then you look at something I'm a little bit familiar with, which is executive authority goes up during a government shutdown, which is technically a lapse in funding. And the Office of Management and Budget is actually heavily involved in determining who is essential and non-essential, a term we're familiar with now in this town, right?
This is going to get interesting.
Oh, it is. So you can imagine Russ Vogt, who listen, I'm so jealous of Russ. He's having a great time down there.
You're jealous.
Absolutely. I would love to be down there right now. This is fantastic. He sort of gets to sit back and say, okay, Greedy, you're essential, and we like what you're doing in the government. And Joe, you're non-essential. So goodbye. So it's really sort of a way to run the government without Congress's input. So I think they might want to shut down. But you're right. When everybody in this town says X, it's usually a good idea to vote Y. And right now, everybody's saying a shutdown.
Can you just walk us through the plumbing a little bit of the shutdown?
Maybe, but it usually puts people to sleep.
I mean, no. I'm coming in from London, and the thought in London is, shouldn't tariffs have fixed all the problems when it comes to the budget? Shouldn't the math have come and at least canceled out, maybe not canceled out the entire deficit issues, the entire budget issues, but at least taken some of the pressure off? Is that any?
No, it's not even close. I mean,
but is it progress? Even if it's an ounce of progress, even if it's a drop in the bucket?
Well, yeah, it's more money. But I mean, look, I've heard Trump say the tariffs have brought in $7 trillion. No, it hasn't. What's $115 billion? I think is the number. We spent that much during lunchtime today. So no, I don't think tariffs were never designed. They were never designed to plug a fiscal hole. Okay, it's good money. It's additional money. I get it. You and I have talked, Joe, before in the show about how we both thought inflation would go up. It hasn't. So look, it's hard to argue with the facts, and they've not contributed to inflation, and they have generated more government revenue. Period. End of story. No real debate as of right now. But it was never going to plug the fiscal hole to everybody in Washington would go, oh, it's great. We can start spending a bunch of money now. By the way, they just spend money anyway. They don't care about deficits. So whether or not it was plugged or not doesn't really make any difference. Just goes to show you the British are asking about the wrong things.
Okay, well, let's ask about motivations here.
Yeah.
Because it's really interesting what you just mapped out. If you're at the White House right now, you're saying, make my day, right?
Yeah.
Please shut down the government. We have a plan for that. And I wish you luck reopening the government.
Yeah.
We've had Democrats say, we might vote for a shutdown, but only if there's an off-ramp. There's no such thing with this White House, is there?
Not if they keep their keep in mind, when we went through the shutdown in late 2018 into 2019, we felt like we were doing a good job of managing the lapse in appropriations.
That was the record.
Which is what a shutdown. It was the longest shutdown ever. And, I think it's fair to say that, when a Republican is in charge of OMB, you can make a shutdown look very different than when a Democrat is in charge of OMB. The case in point, we kept the monuments open on the National Mall. The Obama administration during their shutdown, put up the barriers and said, if you don't like it, call Congress, right? So, we do feel like we're able to manage a lapse in appropriations. The only reason that we didn't keep it closed longer in 2019 was because we didn't have the support of the Republicans in the House and the Senate. We had Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell beating us up on us every single day saying we have to do something about the shutdown. You're not going to get that out of this Republican leadership. So, I think the more interesting question is, if it does shut down, how does it open? And I don't know the answer to that question.
What would the Trump administration want, though? What's the easiest thing to fix to get that shutdown off the radar?
I don't know if they want one. More rescissions.
Keep it close.
More. I mean, we saw one of the most fascinating things that no one paid attention to was this so-called pocket rescission just a couple days ago. It hasn't been done in a long time. We tried to push it in 2017 and 18 when I was at OMB. We couldn't get the White House counsel to go along with it. They've done it. It's a fascinating tool. Look, I think they want to spend less money, especially in things like USAID. They'd like to shut down those entire programs. Maybe that's what would open it up. But you tell me if a Democrat's going to vote to reopen a shutdown government as part of a deal to shut down a bunch of USAID programs permanently.
So the next rescissions package, or I guess the pocket rescission, that's a sure thing. right? If we're daring you to shut down, then let's keep clawing back what we can is the mentality of the White House.
So the logic is actually quite interesting. You want to talk about getting into the plumbing. An ordinary rescissions package, and I've got half a dozen of them, they got nowhere because what happens is they go to the Hill, and if Congress does nothing, they die. All right? Now, this time, Russ Vought sent one down a couple weeks back, maybe a couple months now, about $9.4 billion, and Congress did act and gave it the thumbs up, and that rescission actually kicked in. This pocket rescission is different. They've got some legal opinions that say, look, if we send you a rescission during the last 45 days of the congressional year, of the fiscal year, if you do nothing, Congress, the rescission is valid. So Congress would have to affirmatively act to undo the rescission. So it sort of flips it on its head when it comes to the last 45 days. It's similar in that fashion to, say, a pocket veto. If this holds, it's a tremendous tool, because what it means is that future administrations in the last 45 days of their administration can really claw back on spending unless Congress does something. And as we all know in this town, Congress is better at doing nothing than it is at doing something.
Is there a political cost to a government shutdown?
Never.
What does that look like?
Hardly ever. Everybody says it costs people votes, and I don't know of a single person who ever changes a vote based on maybe pollsters have got hard data. I don't remember. I've been through, I don't know, Joe, how long have we been here? 6 shutdowns since 2015? I can't remember.
Is that how we're measuring time now?
And I cannot remember a single time.
And Wall Street feels the same way, doesn't it? Because when you reopen the government, presumably someday everything goes right back. Everyone's made whole.
Keep in mind, I
think what they
think
missed.
The best GDP quarter that the Obama administration ever had was the quarter that we had a big shutdown.
Wow. So here we go.
Yeah.
Another
Buckle up.
rescissions package, another shutdown. Bring us
Again,
inside the room.
I want to be Russ Vought when I grow up.
Bring us inside the room. We could connect you guys.
Yeah.
For the conversation with Donald Trump on a day like this, when the court says, nope, tariffs are illegal.
Yeah.
And then says, actually, some of these other things that you're doing, sending National Guard into L.A. was also illegal. Does the president sit back and say, okay, then, Mick, rewrite it so it's not illegal? Or does he take this as a defeat?
No, he never takes it as a defeat. He does. I thought you were going to say, does he say, let's challenge it at the next level?
Okay.
Because the answer to that question is both.
So yes to both.
He goes to one group and says, all right, so what's our argument at the appellate level, the next appellate level? I think the tariffs just came out of the federal court here in D.C., right? So that'll go to the Supreme Court. Get ready on that. But in case we lose, what's our backup plan? So let's go back and find out our 232s. What other tools have we got? This is one we're not familiar with, like a 122, which is a 15% for 150 days or something like that. There's all sorts of trade tools the president has, in addition to the ones under IEPA that just got shot down. So you can do both. We're going to continue to push on the court decisions all the way up to the Supreme Court. And at the same time, if we lose, we're going to start the process to see what we can do that can pass judicial muster.
Well, in terms of getting some of that other alternative sources of revenue, we've already talked about in the past couple of weeks this idea of getting, say, 15% of revenue from corporations as one example. How serious is he about expanding that use?
Sadly, I think he's serious about it. This whole government ownership of private companies, I think, is real. Really, really disappoints me. I'm not a big fan. You look up the definition of socialism in the dictionary, and it says, includes government ownership of the means of production. And last time I checked, we now own the means of producing some chips.
That's right.
So I'm not excited about it. I hope that there's somebody in the White House trying to make the president for the case that why this has always been a bad idea. It never works. But I'm not sure that those voices are really ascendant
So
in the White House.
Who's telling him in the
right
White
now.
House that this is a good idea? Would this have happened in the first administration? When you were criticizing Barack Obama for investing in government motors?
Yeah, and maybe we were just too close to it back then. Maybe there's a period of time, and now people have forgotten that socialism is a bad thing. I have no idea. Do I think Peter Navarro is capable of making an argument that the government should own U.S. Steel, the government should own GM, the government should own Intel? Yeah, he probably is. But I mean, face it, you can't. As much as I beat up on Peter, and I'd be happy to do it all day long if you want me to, he can't be the only voice. There's got to be other voices in there saying, Mr. President, I think that's a really good idea.
Even Howard Lutnick suggested Lockheed Martin might be a target.
This
is
it's
a
just
private sector,
why not?
man.
Hey, why not? If we own, let's see, we own critical minerals now.
Yeah.
We own a piece
MP
of
Materials.
U.S. Steel. We own a piece of Intel. Why not? Why not? Why don't we own Boeing? Once you open this door, how do you close it? And that's my question to my Republican friends. Where's my camera? Over here. So when we finally lose control, and the Democrats are in charge, which always happens in this country. These pendulums swing back and forth, and they want to go out and buy every solar energy. We thought lending money to Solyndra was a really bad idea. Ooh. How is it going to be when we own Solyndra? I mean, that's where we are going. Now we're arguing about different, not just even different levels of socialism. It's what are we going to buy? Yeah. If you're a Republican, you want to buy Lockheed Martin and Intel. If you're a Democrat, you want to buy Solyndra and whatever. I mean, this is who's the better socialist, not the difference. There's not much difference between the two parties at that level. That's why I'm so disappointed about it.